Before I even get into this, take a second to subscribe to the channel. Stories like this take time, and if you've ever felt unheard or disrespected in your own life, you'll want to stick around. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, the same one we picked up from IKEA a decade ago, back when we thought matching furniture meant we were building something that would last. The coffee in front of me is cold now, untouched, its dark surface catching the weak light coming through the window. The house is silent, except for the low buzz of the refrigerator and the occasional groan of the floorboards upstairs, where Sarah is probably scrolling through her phone, acting like I'm not even here. Last night, she said it. Straight to the gut. No build-up. No warning. We were in bed, the lights off. I reached for her. Not out of desire, not even romance, but because I needed to feel something human, something real, something that might close the distance that's grown between us. She pulled away. Not aggressively. Just enough to make it clear I was an inconvenience. "I'd rather sleep than pretend I'm interested in you," she said. Her voice was flat, emotionless, like she'd practiced the line 100 times before finally delivering it. I stared up at the ceiling, letting the weight of those words sink deep, settling somewhere I couldn't shake. Then I spoke. Calm. Almost too calm. "I'd rather get divorced than keep pretending this marriage still works." She didn't answer. She just rolled onto her side, turning her back to me like she was putting up a wall. That was the moment something finally cracked. Years of pressure, years of pretending everything was fine. It all broke through at once. If I'd known what she was about to do next, I would have started packing that very night. But part of me still hoped I was wrong. Hoped maybe we hadn't fallen as far as it felt. I'm not telling this to paint myself as some perfect husband or helpless victim. I'm Jack. I'm 42. I work as a project manager at a mid-sized construction company in suburban Ohio. My life is ordinary. A steady job. A house with a mortgage that's tighter than I'd like. A truck that usually starts. I'm not chasing praise or sympathy. I'm not asking for a fairy tale love story. All I want is respect. Not romance. Not grand gestures. Just basic respect. And Sarah has been slowly stripping that away for years. Piece by piece. Like she's been testing how much she can take before I finally break. Her words, her looks, her silences, they're all part of the same slow erosion. And I'm exhausted. It didn't start this way. We met 12 years ago at a friend's backyard barbecue. We were both 30, both full of plans. Sarah was sharp and funny. The kind of woman who could captivate a group just by telling a story about spilling coffee on her boss's desk. I admired that she didn't need anyone to prop her up. She was confident, independent, a force all on her own. We married 2 years later. Bought this house. Talked about kids, a dog, maybe a small cabin by a lake someday. Somewhere along the way, though, she decided I was the problem. Not openly. Not with shouting matches or broken plates. Sarah's smarter than that. She's a high school counselor. She knows how to choose her words carefully. How to make you feel small without ever raising her voice. It's not explosive, it's slow. Death by 1,000 cuts. And I'm done bleeding. It really came into focus about a month ago at Mike and Lisa's place. Our neighbors down the street. Good people. Mike's a mechanic who's always elbow-deep in some half-finished project in his garage. Lisa's a nurse who talks non-stop, always with a story about a patient or a coworker. They invited us over for dinner, nothing fancy. Burgers and beer on the patio. I thought maybe it'd help break the ice between Sarah and me. She'd been distant for weeks. Short replies. No eye contact. Like I was just a roommate she tolerated. I hoped a night out might remind us who we used to be. We were sitting under string lights. Classic rock playing softly through a Bluetooth speaker. Mike was at the grill, flipping burgers as the smell of charcoal drifted through the warm evening air. Lisa passed around a bowl of chips, her laughter cutting through the casual conversation. Another couple was there too, Tom and Jin, friends from Lisa's hospital. Tom was quiet, worked in IT, only really opened up if you asked about his vintage record collection. Jin was the opposite, loud, always stirring things up with stories about hospital politics or dating app disasters from before she met Tom. Sarah was on her second glass of wine, cheeks flushed, smile a little too tight. I was sipping a beer, keeping things light, asking Mike about a custom toolbox he'd been welding together. Lisa turned to us, smiling. So, any big plans this weekend? Summer's almost over. Gotta make it count. I started to answer, mentioned fixing the deck. Maybe taking Sarah for a drive out to the lake. Before I could finish, Sarah cut in. Jack always has projects, she said, her tone sharp. It sounded playful on the surface, but there was a bite underneath. Never finishes half of them, but he's always got plans. She laughed, but it wasn't warm. It was the kind of laugh that makes you realize you're the joke. I felt everyone's attention shift toward me. I set my beer down slowly, carefully. Funny, I said evenly. I remember finishing the garage shelving you wanted last month. I looked straight at her. Didn't blink. Took me a weekend, but it's up. Holding your boxes just like you asked. She shrugged and took another sip of wine, eyes drifting away. Sure, after I nagged you for weeks. You're welcome. Mike laughed awkwardly, trying to smooth things over. Hey, my projects take years. You should see my half-built kayak. It's basically yard decor now. Lisa jumped in too, redirecting the conversation to some hospital drama about a doctor stealing her snacks. But I wasn't listening anymore. I was watching Sarah. She was smiling at Jin like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just taken another swing at me. The sting was familiar. She'd done this before. Little digs in front of other people, making me look incompetent. I'd always brushed it off. Tonight, it felt different. Sarah, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. If you've got a list of everything I'm doing wrong, maybe save it for later. No need to put it on display. She froze. Her wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. Jin arches a brow, the corner of her mouth twitching like she's suppressing a laugh. Tom keeps his eyes glued to his plate, nudging his burger around with his fork. Mike clears his throat and mutters something about grabbing more burgers. Sarah rebounds quickly, flashing a stiff, controlled smile. Oh, Jack, don't be so sensitive. It was just a joke. Not sensitive, I reply, leaning back in my chair and lifting my beer. Just saying what I'm seeing. For the rest of the evening, she barely speaks, but I can feel the heat under the surface. Her eyes flick toward me whenever she thinks I'm not paying attention. When we get home, she says nothing at all, just storms upstairs and slams the bedroom door. I end up on the couch, the low buzz of the refrigerator keeping me company through the night. That's when it clicks. This isn't just a rough evening. It's a pattern I've been pretending not to notice. If I'd known how bad it was about to become, I would have changed the rules right then and there. A week later, I'm sitting at the kitchen table reviewing our monthly budget. I manage most of the money, utilities, mortgage, car payments, because Sarah claims she can't stand dealing with numbers. She has her own account for personal spending, and we split the major expenses. Or at least that's how it's supposed to work. My laptop is open, spreadsheets spread across the screen, and I'm trying to understand why we're coming up short. I'm no math prodigy, but I pay attention, and something's clearly off. There are charges I don't recognize. New clothes, an expensive coffee machine we didn't need, a skincare subscription box that's still unopened. She never mentioned any of it. I'm not angry, I just want to figure it out before we start pulling from savings. She walks in, grabs a bottle of water from the fridge, and avoids my eyes. She's still dressed for work. Blouse, slacks, hair pulled back like she's about to address a room full of teenagers. You done playing accountant? She asks, leaning against the counter, her tone thick with practiced boredom and contempt. I keep my eyes on the screen, focused on keeping us solvent. Mind explaining the $300 at Nordstrom? I ask casually, like I'm commenting on the weather. She rolls her eyes and slams the bottle down hard enough to make the counter shake. You're really going to nitpick my spending? It's my money. Your money, I reply, turning the laptop so she can see the spreadsheet. When it comes out of the joint account, it becomes our problem. We're short on the electric bill. Care to explain? She folds her arms, smirking at me like I'm a kid who just doesn't get it. Maybe if you didn't blow so much on your truck, we wouldn't even be talking about this. My truck, I say flatly. The one I've had for 8 years? Paid off? Costs next to nothing besides gas and oil changes. She's trying to flip it on me, and I'm not taking the bait. That's not the issue. You want new clothes, fine. Just don't pull from the joint account without saying something. We set things up this way for a reason. My voice stays even, but I'm done with the dodging. She lets out a sharp, bitter laugh and steps closer to the table. Oh, Jack, always so responsible. Maybe I needed something nice to feel better, since you're hardly inspiring these days. Stings, but I don't show it. I close the laptop, stand up, and meet her stare. If you need shopping to feel good, that's your choice. But don't expect me to quietly bankroll it while you act like I'm the problem. I grab my keys from the counter, my jaw clenched. I'm moving the joint account. You want to spend, use your own money. From now on, we split everything down the middle. Her expression shifts. The smirk vanishes, her eyes narrowing. You're serious? Completely. I walk out to my truck, leaving her alone in the kitchen. That night, I open a new account, move my share of the money, and email her the details. Bills split 50-50. No shared pool for her to dip into anymore. She never brings it up, but I can feel her anger radiating through the house. The atmosphere turns colder. Her silence cuts deeper. Fine. I'm done playing along. Our 10th anniversary rolls around a week after the budget blow-up. I'd nearly forgotten, buried under work and the strain at home, until I ran into Lisa at the grocery store. You and Sarah doing something special? She asked, hopeful, like she was rooting for us. I mumbled something about maybe going out to dinner, but honestly, I had no idea if Sarah even cared. Still, I decide to make the effort. Maybe it's foolish, but a part of me wants to see if there's anything left to save. I book a table at an Italian restaurant we used to love, back when we'd split a plate of carbonara and laugh about nothing at all. I pick up a small bunch of daisies, her favorite, or at least they used to be. When I get home, she's in the living room, curled up on the couch with a book, her phone glowing beside her. I clear my throat and hold out the flowers. Happy anniversary, I say lightly. I made a reservation at Giovanni's. 7 o'clock, if you're interested. She looks up, her gaze shifting from the flowers to my face. For a moment, I think I see something soften, but then her lips curl into that familiar smirk. Flowers and dinner? What's this supposed to be? Your big redemption move. She sets the book down, stands, and brushes past me toward the kitchen. I'm not hungry, Jack. And I'm not pretending to be a happy couple for one night. I place the flowers on the counter, my chest tight. It's our anniversary. I thought we could talk. Try to figure out what's happening to us. She laughs. Not cruelly, but with exhaustion, like she's given up trying to solve me. What's happening? You're here. I'm here. And we're both miserable. That's it. She opens the fridge, grabs a yogurt, and still doesn't look at me. You want to fix things? Start by figuring out why you're so boring. I stand there, staring at the flowers under the harsh kitchen light. Boring? I repeat quietly. That's what you've got? I'm doing everything I can to keep this house running, to keep us afloat, and you call me boring? She shrugs as she peels back the foil. You used to be fun, Jack. You used to care about more than budgets and home repairs. Now you're just here. She waves her hand like I'm just another object in the room, something she's bored of wiping down. I move closer, my fists tightening. And you? You've been so focused on cutting me apart that you forgot what it means to stand beside someone. You want excitement? Go chase it. I'm finished asking for your validation. I pull on my jacket, leave the flowers untouched, and walk out. From the truck, I cancel the dinner reservation, then drive aimlessly for an hour. Radio silent, nothing but the steady drone of the engine keeping me company. When I finally return, the flowers are sitting in the trash. She's upstairs with the door shut. I don't knock. 2 weeks later, there's a company dinner at a downtown steakhouse. My firm is celebrating landing a major contract, a new office complex we've been pursuing for months. Spouses are welcome, and even though I'm not excited about bringing Sarah, I see it as a chance to prove I'm not the failure she keeps making me out to be. My boss, Greg, is there, A boisterous guy who loves talking sports and business, always slapping your back like you've known each other forever. His wife, Karen, is pleasant but intrusive, constantly asking about our marriage like she's collecting material for a memoir. A few coworkers are there too, including Dave, a younger guy who's never without a joke, even when it doesn't land. We're seated at a long table, plates of ribeye and mashed potatoes being passed around, glasses clinking, laughter bouncing off the walls. I'm mid-conversation with Greg, discussing the schedule for the new project, breaking down the East Wing timeline, when Sarah leans in, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Jack's probably told you he's the hero of this whole deal, right? Always claiming the spotlight. The table falls silent, forks frozen halfway to mouths. Greg lifts an eyebrow and lets out an uneasy laugh. Jack's solid, Sarah. He's been doing his part. Believe me. I set my fork down and look at her, my pulse quickening. That's funny. I don't remember calling myself the hero. Care to explain what you're talking about? She smiles, but there's no warmth in it. Just a sharp glint in her eyes, like she's savoring this. I'm just saying you like to hype yourself up. It's kind of adorable. Dave lets out a snort and tries to disguise it as a cough, grabbing his water. Karen stares down at her plate, lips pressed tight. I'm not letting this pass. Not here. Not in front of my boss and my coworkers. Sarah, if you've got an issue with how I do my job, maybe bring it up at home. Or is this just for cheap laughs? Her smile wavers for a second. Then she recovers, swirling her wine. Relax, Jack. It was a joke. You used to be able to take one. Not a very good joke. I reply calmly, my voice slicing through the tension. I turn back to Greg and pick up right where we left off. So, about the East Wing timeline, think we could cut a week if the permits come through early? She barely speaks after that, but I can feel her glare, her frustration buzzing across the table. When we get into the car, she unloads on me, her voice sharp in the darkness. You made me look stupid in there. You're so sensitive you can't even take a joke. I start the engine, eyes fixed on the road. A joke's supposed to be funny, Sarah. If you want to take shots at me, do it somewhere I don't have to deal with the fallout. She goes silent, crossing her arms and staring out the window. By then, my mind is already moving forward. The next day, I tell Greg I'll be skipping the next company event. Family stuff, I say, keeping it vague. He nods and doesn't pry. I'm done giving her an audience. A few days after the dinner, I'm out in the garage sorting through boxes. Years of clutter stacked everywhere. Holiday decorations, old camping gear, things we promised ourselves we'd use someday but never did. I'm hunting for a wrench I misplaced when I come across an old photo album we put together during our first year of marriage. I sit on a crate and open it. There we are. Sarah laughing on the beach, her hair whipped into a mess by the wind. Me holding up a fish from a camping trip, grinning like a fool. Both of us on our wedding day, her dress glowing in the sun, my tie already crooked. I get pulled under by it for a moment, memories crashing over me. We were happy once, weren't we? I try to figure out when it shifted, when her smiles turned cutting, when my patience began to wear thin. I don't hear her until she's standing in the doorway, arms folded, her expression impossible to read. What's that? She asks, nodding toward the album. I lift it slightly, unsure why I suddenly feel on edge. Old pictures. Found it in one of the boxes. She steps closer, peers over my shoulder at a photo of us at a county fair, sharing cotton candy, her head resting against mine. For a brief second, her face softens and I think, maybe she feels it too, the weight of everything we've lost. Then she steps back, her tone flat. You're not getting all nostalgic, are you? That was forever ago. I close the album and set it on the crate. Yeah, it was. Doesn't mean it didn't matter. She lets out a hollow laugh. Matter, Jack? We were just kids pretending. You really think life is cotton candy and weekend trips? I stand, brushing dust from my hands. No, Sarah. Life is effort, compromise, showing up. And you stopped doing that a long time ago. Her eyes flash, but she doesn't respond. She turns and walks back into the house, leaving me alone with the album and a garage full of memories. I don't open it again. I slide it back into the box and bury it beneath a sleeping bag. Some things belong where they are. Everything finally boils over on a Tuesday night. I'm in the living room watching a Reds game, trying to decompress after a brutal day at the job site where nothing went right. Delayed deliveries, a broken crane, everything going wrong at once. Sarah's been distant all week, barely speaking, responding with short grunts, leaving dirty dishes in the sink like it's somehow my responsibility to clean up after her. I've been keeping my space, sticking to my routine, refusing to give her the reaction she clearly wants. But tonight, she tries something new, and it's the move that finally cracks me. She comes downstairs fully dressed up. Black dress, heels, makeup flawless, like she's heading somewhere important. "I'm going out," she says, not even glancing my way, her purse already hanging from her shoulder. "Out where?" I ask, keeping my tone flat, eyes still on the TV. "With friends." "Don't wait up." She grabs her keys from the counter and heads toward the door. I mute the TV and turn to her. "Which friends?" She stops and turns, eyes narrowing, irritation dripping from her voice. "Why do you care? You're not my keeper, Jack." I stand and walk to the counter where her phone is charging. "Just wondering. You've made it pretty clear you don't want me around, so I'm curious who's worth your time." She yanks her phone away, the movement sharp and defensive. "You're pathetic, Jack. Always checking on me. Maybe I just need some space from you." That's the moment everything shifts. I step closer. Not angry, not raising my voice, just desperate for something real, something to remind us we're not two strangers sharing a house. I reach for her arm, not to restrain her, just to feel some connection, to pull her back from wherever she's drifted. She shoves me away hard, her face twisted with pure disgust. "I'd rather sleep than pretend I care about you." The words hit hard, like a slap, but I don't react. I step back, meet her eyes, my voice steady and final. "I'd rather get divorced than keep holding up this marriage." She freezes. Her mouth hangs slightly open, eyes wide, like she never expected me to push back. For once, she has nothing. No sharp reply, no smug smile. I don't wait. I grab my jacket and keys and walk out. I drive straight to a hotel and check in for the night. The clerk's bored voice the only sound as I hand over my card. By morning, Dave, who went through his own divorce last year, has sent me a lawyer's number. I'm not shouting. I'm not pleading. I'm finished. The following week, I'm back at the house, but not to stay. I've rented a small apartment across town, close to work. It's nothing special, but it's enough. I pack my things, clothes, tools, a few books, while Sarah's at work. I don't make a mess. I don't take anything that's hers. Only what belongs to me, what I worked for. I've already changed the locks on my truck, moved my money, and canceled our joint credit card. She doesn't get to control the story anymore. When she gets home, I'm loading the last box into my truck. She stands in the driveway with her arms crossed. Her expression a mix of anger and something else. Fear, maybe. Regret. I honestly can't tell anymore. "You're really doing this?" she says, her voice softer than I expected. I shut the tailgate and wipe my hands on my jeans. "Yeah, I'm done being your punching bag." "You're overreacting," she says, stepping closer. Her tone gentler now, like she's trying to pull me back in. "We can talk about this, Jack. We can work it out." I shake my head and step closer so she hears me clearly. "You don't get to talk your way out of this. You wanted control? You've got it. Enjoy the house, the bills, all of it. I'm done." She starts to speak, but I'm already in the truck, the engine rumbling as it comes to life. I don't look back when I pull away. Mike's in his yard watering his lawn. Our eyes meet, and he gives me a nod, like he understands, like he saw this coming long before I did. I nod back as the road stretches out in front of me. 6 months later, it's over. The divorce is finalized. Papers signed. No chaos. I kept the truck, my tools, and half the savings. Sarah kept the house, though Lisa tells me she's struggling with the mortgage and might be thinking about selling. That's not my concern anymore. I'm in my apartment now, a one-bedroom overlooking a parking lot, but it's mine. The walls are bare, but I've got a new TV. a couch that doesn't smell like Sarah's perfume, and a coffee maker that brews exactly the way I like it. Work's going well. I'm on a new project, a promotion's within reach, and Greg's been hinting at a bigger role if I keep delivering. Dave and I meet up for beers on Fridays talking baseball, bad choices, and the women he's trying to meet on dating apps. Lisa checks in now and then, says Sarah's been quiet, maybe regretting how things ended. I don't dwell on it. I'm not celebrating and I'm not hurting either. I'm free. No more walking on eggshells. No more dodging her sharp comments. I sleep better. Wake up on my own schedule. The coffee's hot. The TV is mine. And no one's rewriting my story to make me the villain. I said what I needed to say. I walked away. I never looked back. And that's enough. If you made it to the end, that means this story connected with you. Please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Truly means more than you know. These stories take time to write, and your support helps me keep going. Thank you for listening all the way through.